Here in the Piedmont Triad, we're all connected by the ideas, innovations, and people working to improve our region, from transportation and planning to housing and economic vitality. We bring those conversations to you. Welcome to the Triad Regional Connections podcast, hosted by Audra Adams and Lamar Powell, brought to you by the Piedmont Triad Regional Council.
Hi, and welcome to this edition of the Triad Regional Connections podcast. My name's Lamar Powell, and our guests today are Wendy Walker-Fox and Jessica Raby.
Yes, welcome to the table, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
And you specifically work with Ptrc in the workforce and economic development, is that correct?
We do. I am the Workforce and Economic Development Director, and
I'm the Assistant Director.
Nice. How long have you two been working together?
Wow.
Together since 2018.
Right. And then I've actually been at PTRC since 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You must like your job.
It's a great place to work. It's a great place to work.
I hear that all the time, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody. So tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
So we do a lot. There's a lot that falls under the Workforce and Economic Development umbrella. I will say I like what I do because we are really impacting the lives of individuals and really impacting what happens in our communities. And I'll let Jessica talk a little bit more specifically about some of the things that we do in workforce and economic development. And I'll tell you a little inside tip is that we call it WED.
Oh,
so that we don't have to continue to say workforce and economic development because that's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. Okay, so from here to forth, it shall be known as WED.
WED.
All right.
WED.
All right, Jessica.
Yeah.
We'll dig in a little bit.
Under WED, we have workforce, economic development, and reentry services, but we really look at that under an economic mobility lens. So anything that can help get somebody or a company or a partner to help move the economy along.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so then you have these 4 divisions in your department and workforce development. Let's start there.
Yeah. What are the divisions there?
So we don't really look at them as separate divisions. Sure. We really want to take more of we do really take more of a holistic approach to the work that we do. But of course, there is some separation. We do have our workforce development arm, which really focuses on those job seeker services for individuals through our NCWorks Career Centers. We have 6 comprehensive centers within the 10-county local area that we provide workforce development services. Through those centers, individuals can engage with career counselors to maybe enroll them in training, to upskill them. We also have services if individuals have been dislocated from employment to help them get back into the workforce. Help me, Jessica. Am I missing anything there with the workforce side of it?
No, I think that covers it. I think that we're also including that employer arm. So there's the connection from the job seekers through the career centers, but then also the opportunities for the employers to engage.
So you deal with both of those.
Yeah.
So an employee, employer.
Gotta have both.
You do have to have both. And how important is that in a community like ours or in a region like ours? That's certainly important. The workforce being prepared for employers and then having enough jobs for.
Yeah. It's extremely important. I mentioned that training arm on the front end is really about workforce preparedness and creating that pipeline of available talent. It's really all about talent. And then having that employer connection on the back end. So we don't want to just train individuals for the sake of training them. We want to make sure that there's a viable employment option once that training is complete. Within that workforce space, Jessica hit on this a little bit. With the employer side, we do have a business services team, and I believe a member of our business services team has visited you guys, Jacob Thompson. Those individuals work directly with businesses. They do go in and kind of assess where the businesses are. They'll do an actual assessment, looking at what the pain points are, what some of the challenges are in the organization, and then going back pulling some data. We have a data and partnerships coordinator on our team who actually, that is her job to look at different sources of data and compare that data. That is then available to be presented to employers and really mapping out a path forward for them. It's really a consultative approach that we take when we're working with employers.
And a lot of employers too may not look at just a city or a town. They're going to look at things kind of in a regional mindset.
Right.
And that is very important because that can either make or break a certain employer coming into an area, which is going to in turn affect us economically as well.
Absolutely.
So,
all of the work that we do it through a regional lens. When we're serving counties, of course, county needs are going to vary across the spectrum, and things do have to be tailored. But as a whole, the services that are being provided are services from a regional lens and how it is going to affect the region as a whole.
Now, tell us a little bit about the economic development. We have not on this podcast been able to dive into that section of PTRC. So one of you, both of you, just kind of take point on, tell us a little bit of an overview of what that looks like, and maybe we'll dive in a little more.
So just to give a little bit of background, and then I'll let Jessica share some of the specific work that we do in economic development. It's probably been now about 3 years ago that our executive director decided that it made a lot of sense to merge economic development with workforce development. So prior to that, it was a standalone entity. And we did engage, but our work was more parallel as opposed to really being collaborative.
Okay.
But again, we look at workforce development as an economic development driver. Workforce development for us is not about human services or entitlement programs. It really is about driving the economy. And so I have to give him kudos. That was really a smart decision for him to decide to merge those two departments because our work is so complementary. And then Jessica, you can share some of the specific work that we do in economic development.
So at PTRC, we're always coming at things from a regional lens, like Wendy mentioned, but that also includes economic development. So a lot of times when people think of economic development, they're thinking of that business attraction arm. We're more in the side of technical assistance and making sure that there's appropriate infrastructure so that companies can come and expand. So we'll work with places like the Economic Development Administration, other federal funds, state funds. Golden Leaf is a good example to help bring in additional dollars. The projects that we're working on are things like building a water tower, making sure there's sufficient energy, that a company that's expanding is able to build the building that they want to build. So more in that, the technical assistant aspect of the funding rather than bringing the employers here. So it's a little bit different take on economic development that I think people typically think of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and how do you go after those funds?
So we're structured as the economic development district, the local development district for all of these different federal funding entities. And that just gives us the direct contact to those spaces. So we're doing things like the comprehensive economic development strategy for the 12 county region. That's the prep work, that data that Wendy mentioned, the planning with the partners. What's the strategy that we want to approach for the region? Those types of relationships with those funders help us be at the front seat to say, okay, now we've got a project locally, let's bring in those funds and help get those resources to achieve that strategy.
So you're dealing with a local, like a county or?
It could be a county, an economic development partnership. We've done these projects with federal funding from the EDA, with community colleges locally, whatever's making that economic mobility opportunity happen. So it really could be any public entity is typically able to apply for those funds.
And how does that translate regional? I mean, you have to you have to do that also in a regional sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
The
the
word
justification,
real big.
the justification for the projects is always based on jobs created because we're
Right.
dealing with federal funds. So whatever that project is, if we're talking about water's not going to be a very microscopic project. It's going to have a larger impact as to the companies coming into the area, the capacity of the area to bring in more folks. So it's always going to have that bigger scale, even if the local entity is a specific public space.
And so those companies that are looking at a particular area, they need to have those questions answered, and
Yeah.
it's probably difficult for them to do that
Yeah.
on their own, and
Right.
especially if a region or a local government or municipality is trying to attract something, then that's the element of that you guys provide.
Exactly. So we're very much behind the scenes. Like
Yeah,
I think when people hear economic development, they think about the business attraction,
Right.
being at the table, the fun, sexy stuff.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily get to do that. We are definitely the behind the scenes, the support arm of the economic development projects. And just making sure that all of those infrastructure pieces are in place, provide funding for those types of projects, and then the technical assistance if if that's needed.
So basically, what I'm hearing is if a new business is coming in, it's not that they necessarily contact you. They
Right.
are contacting the local government that you've also always
Yes.
also all have already goodness created the infrastructure there that
Yes.
they can tap into.
Exactly.
And that's done for all these counties.
the 12 counties in the
Absolutely.
region. Yes. Or if we haven't already created the infrastructure, that county knows that we are the resource for getting
Okay.
the questions answered to help with the infrastructure or any other resources that they might need.
Okay, so this is just a not informed question. So what if there isn't any answers in the, in the county government there, and they need to come straight to you because there isn't anything in place? Can you work directly with them?
We can work directly with them, but we will loop in the
Okay.
municipality.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So what's the biggest challenges that you face in this big collaboration? And it's a very important collaboration with all these different people.
She has a lot to say.
I was just thinking, what's
Okay.
the biggest challenge? I don't know, Jessica. What do
I
you
think the biggest challenge from my perspective
Yeah,
is
sure.
aligning all of these different
Yeah.
investments. So if we're talking about the workforce development aspect of investing in job seekers, training opportunities and resources, we're also talking about the infrastructure, which is going to impact employers and their availability to expand. How do we make sure that those investments are well aligned so that the folks going into the training opportunities are aligned with the employers who are coming to the area or expanding into the area?
So what I'm seeing is a lot of relationships that are very important
Yeah,
to develop,
yeah.
and having a great team to be able to bring all these pieces together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's really important about having a WED or Workforce and Economic Development Department is we're going to have conversations with those training providers, with the frontline staff who are dealing with the job seekers, saying what they're interested in, what opportunities they're seeing, what barriers they're seeing, and then also that structural side of economic development of, well, this is the fun, sexy direction, like Wendy's saying, that employers are looking for, the types of employers that are looking to come to our area. We have the partnerships across both sides to be able to bring those folks together, or at least share both sides of the aisle in that case.
Well, I know you have a great team. I know we've mentioned Jacob already being very articulate, very passionate about what he does, and really enjoyed that conversation with him. And I know we also had another podcast in the past dealing with employment opportunities and things of that nature. That was exceptional as well. So you have a great team, and I know that's going to be an important part of it.
Yeah, it seems like, you have to have multiple goals
Yes.
at the same time.
For sure.
And especially, so tell me, there's from your workforce part, there's something called a reentry.
There is.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So reentry is really focused on individuals who have been engaged with the prison system and they're re-engaging in the workforce. That is an area that we took on about 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And again, it made sense for it to be integrated into workforce development. We really see the reentry population as another population that needs specific services. So, we've got our adult population. Those could be individuals that are looking for work, that maybe are unemployed and need to be skilled up. We have the dislocated population, individuals that have lost their jobs. And then we have our reentry population as well that have specific barriers or needs that we can help them address.
That's a lot of, juggling going on.
It is a lot of
You
juggling.
must have an amazing team.
The team is great. And I'll go back to your question about the challenges. So I think the biggest challenge, and Jessica really hit on this, is really the coordination of all of the pieces. All of the pieces fit together. And let me just say this model of WED is not typical.
Okay.
If you were to have other individuals that work in workforce sitting here at the table and talking about workforce, you would be hard pressed to see them talking about strategic initiatives, economic development, all of these other arms that we're talking about. Again, it goes back to our philosophy around workforce development and it really being an economic development driver. So the challenge for us is the coordination, getting people to see that they're not just working in a silo, that the work that they do in our career centers affects what happens in all of the other pieces.
Yes.
So to your point, yes, we do have an amazing team, and they're able to carry out our efforts pretty seamlessly on most days.
Yeah. Well, I think that comes down to really good communication. Even sitting here, you're both able to articulate exactly your goals and how you're walking forward in them and what your space of this piece of pie is. And you're seeming to execute it very well and know your stuff.
Yeah. And I'm constantly amazed at PTRC and the regional aspect of things and how important that is in all of the things that PTRC does. It's just it's very eye-opening, and I think the state has done an amazing job with these regional councils, and I really am impressed at our regional council and the work that we're doing. It's just it's very eye-opening to me.
So getting down to wrapping things up, I want to know for each of you, why is it that you're so passionate about what you're doing?
Well, I can say for me, coming into this, I have had exceptional support and guidance from our executive director. He provides directors with a lot of autonomy, department directors with a lot of autonomy. I don't think that I've ever gone to him with an idea and the answer was, no, we can't do that. It's usually, what is it that you're talking about? And he just needs a little bit more details. And now I don't even know that I go to him with, here's an idea. It's usually, this is what we're doing, and he's fine with it.
Yeah.
So really having that trust, that autonomy, his vision of us always being on the cutting edge and doing innovative things, I think permeates throughout the entire organization. And I can really see the difference that we're making in the work that we do. And that really ignites and kind of fuels the passion that I have for the work.
Which does that in turn trickle down to you, Jessica?
Oh, absolutely. I really, really enjoy the creative space to come up with solutions for problems, challenges, whether that's something that we notice in the data, we see that from partners. I think there's a lot of space at PTRC to come up with, I've got an idea, I think this is going to work, and this is why I think so. And, the sky's the limit as to how far you can take that to solve a problem that will help people.
And it's enormous responsibility, I think, on you all. But I feel like the way that you are pushing through that is because you've been given great leadership autonomy. You know, creative minds can only be creative if you stop putting walls all around.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can just say that from personal experience is like, if you just give me a blank space, I can start filling it.
Right.
And some things are going to work and some things are
Right.
not going to work.
Right.
But at least I got to walk myself through that
Mhm.
experience. And the other side, when you're successful,
Yeah.
that keeps you since 2016 coming back to work, and you since 2018. So yeah, that's impressive to me, and that speaks to what PTRC leadership is not just doing for you, but how you're leading others and how
Yeah.
you're leading. It just is a domino effect, in my opinion.
And I know this last box here, strategic initiatives. So as we draw to a close, tell me about that and what.
So that can be anything, Lamar. I will say that we didn't really talk a lot about our funding. So our funding we're federally funded primarily. We are always looking for alternative buckets of funding that we can kind of supplement. We all know that federal funds are soft. So the strategic initiatives arm is just that. It is our group of individuals that are looking for funding opportunities, looking for special projects that we can engage with. They also do a lot of work with our revolving loan fund as well. So a lot of things there. It's kind of the catch-all bucket. I'll mention too, since we're talking about strategic things, our fleet of mobile units. That is how we were kind of thinking outside the box, and that's how we've ended up now with 3 mobile units. We started out with our really big one, and then the next one was a thought, hey, we should have something smaller. And it really was a brainstorming idea. We had some special funding, and we thought, what can we do with this special funding that would be impactful for our communities? We thought, hey, we can't always get a driver for the large mobile unit. We need something that's smaller that we can just use as a mobile hotspot. And born from that was the mini mobile. And then another conversation around some funding that we had. And we're like, we kind of need something in between the big one and the small one. So now we have the medium mobile.
What did the mobiles do? I don't know about
So the mega mobile is it's a mobile career center.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it's a big RV with pop-out sides. It has an exterior and interior television, so we can play videos and we can host events. We will typically take that out if there's like a hiring event or something like that. So it's able to go out and replicate a career center. The medium mobile is one size down. It's about the size of an Amazon van. And it can also incorporate people going into it, but less people. So again, a mobile career center. And then the mini mobile is just a very small minivan. And it really does act as a mobile hotspot. So it's equipped with laptops that can be set up with a tent. And then the power is coming from the actual unit itself.
So serving the public, general public,
meeting them where they are.
Meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
Serving the public, serving partners. We've done things like surveys, and if somebody sees the mega mobile, really any of the mobiles, but especially the mega, they're going to come up to it. So if you need to have that connection point, they're really good, a good draw for the public.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So if there was something you would want to say to your partners out there, maybe on the municipality side, the government side, what would you want to tell them or share with them? And then we'll talk about the general public, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
I'll lean into the strategic initiatives piece, which is definitely a fun space in the work that we do. But because we approach things from that lens, there is a strategic team, but I think that's just a general approach for our team. We want our partners to come and pose their problems, pose the ideas, and let's try to come up with a way to do it. We have some policies, some funding, some programs that are existing, but we're always looking of how we can make better connections across those pieces, leverage the resources that we have, and bring in new opportunities. So I think just having that regular communication and partnership will let us hear about what's going on, see how we can come up with something new and make that that next project happen.
And then the general public, you're helping
Mm-hmm.
someone who's looking for a job
Mm-hmm.
get prepared for that, or to help them succeed in that by not only sharing with them what might be available, what job opportunities are available, but you're also helping them with their resumes.
Right. Right. That is the work that happens in our NCWorks Career
Yeah.
Centers.
Yeah.
So those are the centers that we oversee. So we don't do that direct
Right.
service with individuals, but we're always very happy to point them to one of the centers to engage with staff there to help them.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say I'm impressed.
Me too.
You go. You just keep going on. And thank you for all the work that you're doing and for showing up and for inspiring others to do so in your team. And I mean, there's so many things we just don't realize are happening.
Yeah.
And it takes so many minds and people and hearts to show up and really work some of these problems out. And we just go and reap the benefits of that. So thank you for shining a light on that today. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that today really makes me smile because we named this podcast the Triad Regional Connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're seeing take place.
Yeah.
What a great organization. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for being here today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes,
Thank you,
absolutely.
guys.
And that's the end of this episode. We will see you on the next. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.